Is it just a case that Davis knows what different looks like, but is just so afraid of doing it he doesn't want to do it?
You're not believing what the manager's saying to you. You're starting to hear the words, but the actions don't follow.
There was a rumour that Steve Cooper was in the director's box on Saturday against Bristol City. Is this Knighthead considering, dare I say, a replacement for Chris Davis, or is it just more of a director of football role?
Does it matter? Does who we sign matter now? Unless he plays people in the right places, in the right system, the most effective system, it doesn't matter. Put Jude in fucking goal, wouldn't he, or something like, you know. To me, to everybody else who's got eyes and watches Blues, Stano should be centre. If he's not the 9, he's got to be the 10.
He's got to be. I always hope for Blues to do well, but the realistic side of me and the pragmatic side of me says he's not going to change and it's going to hurt. Welcome back, fellow compatriots of Tommy Wagner's Blue and White Army, to the Free Blue Boys podcast. Thank you once again to all our viewers and listeners for joining us again. But of course, as always, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It is free to do so. Like if you enjoyed today's video and hit the bell notification button so you never miss a new upload from the Free Blue Boys podcast. And while you're at it, why not drop us a follow on any one of our social media platforms? Links to which are on the screen for now and down in the description below. Dad, what a difference a week makes, or doesn't in many cases, as we will get into, obviously following on from Saturday's 2-2 draw at home, St Andrews Park against Bristol City. But otherwise, how are we doing?
Yeah, all right, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I guess the first thing to point out is, yep, you're quite right. There was only the two of us here today.
Indeed.
And also like to kind of quash any rumours that it's because Joe wore long trousers last week that we booted him out of the Three Blue Boys. So, no, it's nothing to do with that. If that was the case, then I'd be leaving this week as well, wouldn't I?
You would be, yeah.
He'd just be one Blue Boy next week.
Indeed, yeah.
That could be how it goes. But no, he's just not very well at the moment. He should, fingers crossed, be back for the post-match tomorrow after the Brentford game.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to say, because it could be a bit of a mindfuck for some of you people watching us, is we're recording this on the Monday, but it won't come out until Thursday. And then tomorrow, obviously being Tuesday, is the Brentford post-match. So you'll see Joe, and then you won't see him. So you'll see him in the post-match, but obviously you're not seeing him in this. So before you start thinking that we're playing Back to the Future shite, we're not. It's just one of those kind of weird scheduling things that goes on.
It is.
But yeah, I'm okay, Dan, apart from the fact that, you know, that was... Well, we've been over it, haven't we?
It was abysmal, wasn't it?
It was very poor, and almost universally in terms of not only the commentators that we've had, the people that have come back to us, but I think pretty much every Blues podcast that I've seen have said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And their commenters have said it as well. No point going over our emotions after the game. Again, we've already made those known.
We have.
But it's a kind of a very quick about turn in terms of people's attitude now. It seems to have gone from the relative positivity of Sheffield United and Swansea into we're back where we started from.
It does, and I think as well it's been such a more I suppose vigorous reaction, if you like, than it was the first time, because it was more gradual last time, wasn't it? But it's because we've been there before. Yeah. We're just seeing a repeat. Davis has regressed into Davis ball, as it's been characterised by many Blues fans over the months, hasn't it, really, particularly at the back end of last season as well, before we sort of picked up a little bit and he changed things up. And that's the disappointing part about it. Is it, for me, that, and in the comment section, Blues fans, as always, do let us know, although I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is going to be, and likewise as well, Dad, give us your thoughts on it. Is it just a case that Davis knows what different looks like, but is just so afraid of doing it he doesn't want to do it?
Could be, yeah. I find it extremely frustrating. I mean, again, to reiterate a point that we made on Saturday about adaptation, and it looked like he got it now. It's like he was talking about horses for courses.
He was.
Changed the style of play, wanted to mix it up a little bit more. And I think my expectation when we were talking about what team he's going to pick for the game on Saturday was like, yeah, it's going to be more attacking.
Yeah,
we don't need to kind of worry about the defensive shackles that we have to put on away from home to give ourselves more robustness. This is about us, you know, projecting our kind of home fortress, really, like, you know, and making it clear that, you know, this is our territory and we attack people while we're there.
You need to come and beat us while we're here.
And we didn't. We didn't do it. We didn't set up to do it either. So I'm getting into the situation now where this is dangerous territory as well, really, for any fan bases. You're not believing what the manager's saying to you. You're starting to hear the words, but the actions don't follow.
No, and that's where trust gets lost. And once that's gone with a fan base, we know from experience, not only as Blues fans, but many different fans of other clubs know this as well, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone at that point. And it goes a little bit deeper for this for me. And we were talking about this before we switched the cameras on today, didn't we?
Yeah.
When I came to see you a little bit earlier in the day as well when picking up my lad. But is it that the absence of Tom Wagner and in essence the absence of Knighthead and what has been pivotal in Knighthead and the driving force in Tom Wagner, driving all this forward, all the change with the club, or with the Powerhouse Stadium and everything that's come with it under Knighthead's tenureship of the club, is it the absence of him that the transfer of his power hasn't been made fully over to the board and Jeremy Dale as CEO, that we haven't seen that change in management, like they're all too afraid to pull the trigger because they don't necessarily think they've got the confidence of the owner to do that? Or it might even be that in the communications that Wagner has had with the board and Jeremy Dale in the recent weeks and months, that he said, look, we're not doing this and we're not talking about this and we're not making a decision until I'm back and I'm comfortable in what I'm doing to make a decision on this, until I feel that I'm in a position to do that. Does it run deeper than that?
Could do. I mean, there's going to be a certain amount of delegation that goes on, isn't there? Because
there is.
There has to be. You know, for pragmatic reasons, the club's got to run day.
Well, they've said, isn't it, the day-to-day running of it has been taken out of Wagner's hands, and rightfully so.
Yeah, which is fine, but I do tend to agree with your direction there, in as much as the charisma and the expansive attitude that he had, and the way that he promoted the club and the way that he drove things forward, you know, even on the playing side, you know, it's infectious enthusiasm that he's got.
It is.
And I feel like that has diminished, you know, gradually, and now it's becoming more glaring now that he's not around. And, you know, I'm not going to speculate on the man's health.
No, of course not.
It's not for us to do that.
No, definitely not.
All we're wishing is that, you know, he's back as soon as possible.
Of course.
But he's got to be coming back when he's ready to do so. There can't be any rushing about it. So we are where we are with it. We've suffered with 2 illnesses in the last, 18 months. You know, Mowbray's wasn't something we could have predicted.
No, of course not.
And I think my personal view is we would have stayed up if we'd have stayed in charge. And now we've got Tom Wagner's, which also is kind of, you know, taking the wind out of our sails.
It has.
And that's not a good thing. And I think that does play a part in this, you know. I think
does.
the leadership is a bit of a vacuum at the moment.
It is.
And that's not to kind of, you know, cast any aspersions on Jeremy Dale. I'm sure he's doing a good job under the circumstances. But he's not the charismatic man that we've had leading our club for the last 3 years, is he?
No, and that not only unsettles fans, it unsettles investors as well. And I think sort of the absence, in as much as, apart from Jeremy Dale's most recent updates, just prior to the FC Barcelona friendly, we haven't really had much communication out of the club. And a few supporters in our comment section have drawn to this as well. And I do appreciate that perspective because, like you said, while it is wrong for us to speculate on Tom Wagner's health, at the same time, you cannot help but notice the absence of communication from the club. But there's 2 reasons for this, as we've touched on. One is a little bit more to do with the man, because obviously if not much has changed, then you can't tell the public very much. No. And it's very much kind of hedge fund behaviour as well. Unless it's happened for definite, you don't tell anybody anything. Speculation doesn't do him any harm.
It's a good analogy of that, yeah.
It is, isn't it, really? I've got Rich, thanks for that, Rich. So that was a good analogy he drew on when we met him prior to the FC Barcelona friendly. But also the other one as well is also to do with investors. You can't do anything in public that makes the optics look bad and makes investors become uneasy, particularly when you've invested to the level at which Knight have in this club, with the powerhouse, with the academy, with the women's team and everything else that goes with it, and the money we've spent as well, that we're capitalising on that charisma of Tom Wagner.
Yeah.
I mean, you've only got to look and watch our opponents will be for this coming Friday, seeing us travel to Wrexham. Look what that's done. Yeah. They've become one of the most popular brands in world football, and I don't think that's any exaggeration to make. Particularly with the platforms they've been on as well, and their documentary's done very well for themselves. Indeed. And I wish them well in that. Apart from when they play us, of course, as we'll get into as we preview that game this coming Friday at Wrexham. But like I said, it almost runs deep of that, doesn't it, really? It's if that trust is lost initially in the manager because the message isn't matching what's happening out on the pitch, you then start to look deeper. I mean, whether or not this has got any bearing on it, whether this is potentially going to be more around the director of football role. There was a rumour that Steve Cooper was in the director's box on Saturday against Bristol City. Now you can look at that as one of 2 ways. Is this Knighthead considering, dare I say, a replacement for Chris Davis, which is how some supporters mention might look at it, or is it just more of a director of football role? It's difficult to say.
I think the latter, because I don't think anybody's that insensitive. It would be spectacularly humiliating for a current manager to have the incoming manager kind of, sat
I don't think
watching.
it's ever been done, has it, really? Not to public knowledge, at least, anyway.
It would be terrible PR and very bad manners to boot as well.
I think so.
And the reason I think there could be director of football vibes there is because Steve Cooper was very heavily involved in the England youth setup. And Blues have talked quite intently and openly about, the pathway from the youth setup into the first team. And he was a man who was, part and parcel of the England setup to do that.
He was.
And I think also did it at some of the clubs he was at, Swansea, etc. So I think they might be looking potentially at his expertise along those lines. It's a little bit difficult for someone like Chris Davis if that did happen, because you've got somebody who arguably is still in the marketplace to be a manager of a club.
Yes.
Overseeing, being your boss, basically.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's something that they partly intend as a result of it or not. But it is intriguing nonetheless that he was there.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. As far as the Wagner thing is concerned and Chris Davis is, it does lend itself to decisions not being made when they should be. And I think that's the problem. I'm not saying he doesn't trust his lieutenants, as it were, at the club, but he would want to be actively involved in such a big step. They prize stability a lot, don't they, him and Tom Brady?
They do, loads.
And I think that's something that they would really, really rather not do, unless it was kind of at the level that said, confidence has just gone completely from everybody now. I don't know. I think that was the point you were trying to make anyway, though, wasn't it?
It was really. It's kind of at what point do you recognise that this is becoming so detrimental to the side and the club in terms of the position we are in the league table and the results we're getting, the backlash you're getting from fans, that you look at it and go, right, we can't wait any longer. We need a transfer of power. If Wagner's not in the right mindset, he's not physically capable in any way. Like I say, it's difficult because we're not going to begin to speculate here. But obviously, as you've alluded to there, Dad, and rightly so, the day-to-day running of the club has been transferred. So why not go a step further and say, OK, the decision needs to be made now. A change is required. But at what point do you wait? Do you wait until the first international break, where potentially all we're seeing is L's and D's on the form table, and we're nearly in the bottom three?
That's right. Yeah.
At what point do you wait to do that?
The timing is an issue.
It is.
I mean, I think alongside that, another issue is the transfer window. It's done in a week now, really, isn't it? A week
it is,
or so.
Really. You've only got another week left of it.
We need people in key positions. I think today I've seen that Chris Davis has conceded that Ibrahim Osman is not going to be coming.
The midfield is becoming a big issue now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because we've got 6 central midfield players, 3 of which are unfit at the moment to varying degrees. So Tyler Gardner-Hickman, Art Leonard and Max Bird. We've got 3 others that remain. Iwata's performance was, on the dark side of negative, I think, at times on Saturday, and frustrating people immensely. He's got his place at times, but I don't see him as a frontline central midfield player for our team.
I don't see him as a starting player for
No,
us.
I don't know. No, I don't. But from what I understand from Chris Davis's comments, is that central midfield's not something that we're going to try and strengthen. I'm thinking that's going to be a real problem, because none of those other 3, the injured 3, are going to be back before the international break.
And there's an argument to say that some of those 3 aren't even Championship standard.
No,
I mean, with
that's
all due
right.
respect to Martin Leonard, he's a lovely guy, but he's not Championship standard.
No,
there's an argument to say the same for TDH as well.
That's
so
right.
it's kind of like, well, even when they are fit, are we necessarily having the strength in depth that we need? I mean, take Bristol City, for instance, Twain. What a brilliant 10 that man is. That's what you need.
Yeah, we've talked about this guy, haven't we, quite a few times. But there's also people like Jason Knight in their midfield as well. Somebody who's kind of got a good record in terms of availability. Yeah. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got a lot of experience. These players are about. These players are about.
Even Jed Wallace gave a good account of himself.
He did, actually. Yeah, he nearly scored at one point.
He did.
But yeah, focusing on the left wing is important, because it's clear we've got a gap there, and focusing on the 10 is the same. But central midfield could be an undoing there. Whoever's in charge, and this is the other point I was going to make, is does it matter? Does who we sign matter now? Because if the same man's in charge and that carries on, beyond the international break and into next year, unless he plays people in the right places, in the right system, the most effective system, it doesn't matter. We might as well sign Messi and Ronaldo and
it would
Jude,
make no difference, because you're going to play him out of position anyway.
Yeah, he'd put Jude in fucking goal, wouldn't he, or something like, and we could end up kind of going down that route with whoever we bring in now, that they're just not played to their strengths. And that's my concern, that maybe now the transfer window has become a bit secondary. It's like it's more important than that. It's bigger than that. That's the problem now. And when's it going to be fixed if it needs to be? Because if we get to the other side of Friday night and we pull up a shit show, and Wrexham have got their first victory, because they haven't won themselves so far this season.
They haven't,
games.
no. They've had a bit of a rough start to the season as well.
They have, actually, yeah. But if we were to not do well there, then the pressure goes up,
It does,
exponentially.
absolutely. How's it going, fellow Blues fans? Hope you're enjoying the channel so far and liking today's video. I wanted to take a minute of your time to talk about our sponsor, Bangla Lounge Indian Cuisine. For these three blue boys, Bangla Lounge has been the go-to choice to enjoy the very finest in Indian cuisine for over a decade now. Made with the freshest ingredients using authentic recipes, Bangla Lounge produces some of the best Indian cuisine that I've ever tasted. And if you enjoy takeaway at the end of the week, orders for collection and delivery with 15% discount, ordering direct through the website. If you enjoy a sit-down meal, you can enjoy this a 2-for-1 offer running up for Sunday to Thursday every week on main courses. Or if you're celebrating a special occasion such as a birthday, Bangla Lounge offers a buffet restaurant every Sunday running from 5:30pm to 10pm. So if you like a tasty curry or a sizzling tandoori, get yourself down to Bangla Lounge Halesowen. Links in the description below of our video. And if you would like to fine dine after a win in the B9. Thanks very much. Now back to the podcast.
So, I mean, as far as Wrexham themselves are concerned, their start, if it's possible, is that their start's worse than ours? Because they've played through it and they haven't won any of them.
No.
They lost in the Cup to Borough. They nearly won the Welsh derby against Cardiff, but there was the last minute free kick.
Something of a bit of Achilles heel for Wrexham.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It certainly is, actually. And then a home draw to Watford. I don't know. They're not up and running yet. And,
They're not.
And
They're not.
By their standards, they haven't bought that many people in either. I think that's the other thing.
I don't think they've really needed to, though, because while they do have an older squad, and this does play in part to what essentially really is kind of almost a similar season for Phil Parkinson, that is to Chris Davis. It's a bit of a make or break season for him this season because they've enjoyed successive promotions.
Yeah, it's true.
And while they're not maybe got the same level of experience in comparison to some squads in terms of, you know, teams being able to get promoted out of the Championship, certainly the level of players that are required when you look at like some of the teams that have come down from the Premier League as well. Yeah. And even teams like Middlesbrough as well that have been in the playoffs in previous seasons as well as you know, as recent as last season, of course. It's a make or break for Phil Parkinson because I think there comes a point where if they don't get out of the division this season or even into the playoffs, particularly when you consider it's been extended into 8th place, is that the end of the time for him at Wrexham? That they sort of look at it, Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, and go, no, we need to change this up now. It's not happening quick enough.
To keep the momentum going for the documentary and the worldwide brand and that kind of thing, they've got to have success.
They intertwine with each other, those two things as well. It's important to remember that.
Yeah, they can't kind of go any further with those things unless they can demonstrate that they're continuing on the up.
No.
And they haven't reached the pinnacle yet, have they? They haven't reached the Premier League, so the story's not finished yet, and people don't like that. So it's got to be done. Somehow it's got to be done, and they'll want to make that happen. So I think you're right, you know, that Parkinson's, you know, he's treading water a little bit himself now, you know, and that's what makes Friday a bit of a kind of pivotal battle in a way, you know, for both managers. I mean, I like the fact that they've stuck with their approach of bringing in Championship experience. Anthony Patterson in goal.
It's where we lack.
Yeah, it is. And I think the signings like Patterson in goal, I mean, Danny Imray did very well at Albion last season.
He did.
And has continued that good form, and he's a threat for them for definite. And I think it was Ben Whiteman, wasn't it? I think, yeah.
Yep, Ben Whiteman, yeah.
Who came in from Preston. Now, he was a staple in their squad, in their side, actually, for a long time. And there was a bit of bad blood of him leaving there. Heckingbottom wasn't very happy with the noises that he was making. But again, another solid Championship performer, and it adds to the ones that they've already got. So again, you can't deny the fact that they are, in my view, shopping in the right area.
They are.
But nonetheless, you know, we've got to go there and we've got to try and get something, haven't we?
We have, and it's funny enough, we've actually been unbeaten in league competition against Wrexham since we started playing them in League One 2 seasons ago.
That's right.
So it'd be, at least from my perspective, a record that we want to keep and we want to preserve. Yeah. We've never performed very well at their stadium. We've always been kind of a bit of a second half team. Yeah. And that was the case even when we played them in the first League One fixture as well. We've only ever won when we've been at our ground. Yeah. The last outing against them was, of course, the latter end of last season. I think it was the last but one home game we had last season, being the last at Bristol City, of course. And it was a comfortable 2-0 victory for us, which is something we didn't say very often with Blues, certainly recently. I think at that point Wrexham were a little bit gassed. I think they had a bit of a gut punch because Hull were picking up momentum coming into the playoffs as well, and ultimately got promoted into the Premier League as well. Impressive 2-0 victory over Manchester United over the weekend for them as well. They did very well. Yeah. Maybe the momentum continues for them. But anyway, very much back to present day in Wrexham. they've had a bit of a difficult start to the season. They've just stuttered a little bit. Maybe it's just taking time for things to knit together with the new signings, tweaking the system a little bit in the way they approach things as well, because I think they're very much aware that the pressure's on for them to finish in the playoffs and to at least give themselves an opportunity to get promoted at the Championship into the Premier League. And like you say, it's almost a pivotal match for both managers because they know the pressure's on and it's early on. I mean, the pressure's always on in this league, isn't it, at least to some extent. But certainly if you're like us, Wrexham, teams there or thereabouts, there's an expectation, particularly when you've had the amount of money put into both clubs and you've got sort of the visible owners as both clubs have had in the recent years as well. I think it's going to be a very difficult game. And funny enough, something you lent into there with Ibrahimovic at right back as well, a bit of key threat for them as well. I think this is going to lean into what will be, and we will get onto the starting 11 for Blues. This again, I think, is going to end up seeing a repeat of the starting 11 from Bristol City because of that threat from the the right hand side as well, and who we see starting on the left and unfortunately out on the left wing. We know what that means for us.
Yeah, I do have a fear, I think, because of the stubbornness of the manager. Danny Imre is clearly a threat. You know that. Last season Kabore was the same threat.
He was.
We know what they're going to do. You know they're going to play with that kind of, the wing back system.
Of course they are.
Rain the crosses in, etc.
Kiefer Moore getting them on the end of it.
Absolutely. No, they play a little better football now in the midfield as well, so they mix it up a little bit more. But because of that threat out there, I know what Davis will be doing. He'll be thinking about, am I going to nullify that? He doesn't want Alex Cochrane to be isolated because he struggles against pace. And he also wants Cochrane to be a threat going forward so we can get the crosses in. Yeah. Because we haven't got a left winger at the minute. We've got a left footer on that side. So what's he going to do? He's going to put Stano there because Stano will take responsibility for tracking his man. And that's what, unfortunately, I can see happening. And then we're back into where we were before, aren't we, at home? Pake's going to play in that 10. And he's going to try and just kind of nullify them, the same as he did at Sheffield United, and hope for the best. And you can't carry on doing that all the time. You've got to have a better plan than that. To me, to everybody else who's got eyes and watches Blues, Stano should be centre. If he's not the 9, he's got to be the 10.
He's got to be.
He's got to be because, people who aren't Blues fans picked up on what happened, as soon as that position changed on Saturday. Yeah. The energy levels went up, not just through the players, but the crowd as well. Stano is, he put a lot of effort in on Saturday, but a lot of it was unrewarded because he was in no position to influence the game. No. You need him to be there. My view, personally, we're going on to team selection here, is if you think Imre's a sufficient threat and you don't trust Dimmy Gray to track his runs, why don't you put Lund there? Yeah. Right? He's a left back, but he's played in midfield before. He's athletic, he's very quick, and he puts in a good tackle. He's the kind of guy that you could give a job to, say, track this guy, and he isn't going to get outdone by his pace. Play him there, a proper left footer on that side. He might even put some decent crosses in when we move forward. Will it happen? No fucking chance in my view. No.
I'd agree with you as well, and I think it's part of the reason of what you've alluded to there as well. There's a couple of things. I think he's one of the trusted players in Cochrane that Davis likes to have on the pitch. Yeah. The other two being Paik and Awata, amongst others. But I think there's some others that he selects that are more essential. Lots of Christoph Kara, Phil Neumann, who by the way had a very good game, I felt, against Bristol City, and he is doing very well. And Dale Fry's got some work to do to get in the team. Dare I say? He actually outperformed Christoph Klara, did Phil Neumann, I felt, on Saturday as well, which is more unusual. But like you say, Christoph Lund would be a better option there. But there's a couple of reasons why that I don't think he'll do that. One, as I've alluded to there, the favouritism towards Cochrane, but also because he takes long throws and he gets crosses into the box. And I don't think, again, it's this trust thing towards some of the players we get in. And like you say, Dad, it's all well and good getting players in, and so a lot of them aren't even Championship experienced players, but it's the fact that we get players in and then we just put them on the bench. Yeah. So how are they going to get the understanding of how to play in this division, which is the most competitive division, in my opinion, in Europe, more so than the Premier League, because of the added physicality to it as well, and how competitive it becomes as well. But we just don't seem to do that. We just seem to buy players in and go, okay, great, welcome to Blues. Oh, there you go, the bench. You'll come on as and when we need you. Yeah. Well, how do you expect players to get used to the pace and the physicality of it? And you need to be able to do this to change up. And then you end up with players getting out injured. You know, if Cochrane comes out injured, Lund might be like a deer in headlights.
Yeah,
and
that's
you're
true.
asking him to perform
Yeah.
when he hasn't had the opportunity to even experience it firsthand. And this would be an ideal game to do that. Like I say, I very much doubt that that's going to happen, and I don't think there's going to be any change to the starting 11 as far as that's concerned against Wrexham. But like you say, he's quick, he tracks his man, he puts in a good challenge, he offers pace up there, so Stano hasn't got to work as hard, so at least he can concentrate then on getting forward more, cutting inside, because he hasn't got any other option other than to do that, has he, really? No. Because he's not going to be played in the 10 role. Paik, unfortunately, again, is probably going to slow it down, which is a nullifying Wrexham as a defensive tactic is a good thing to have. But then it's like, okay, how are you moving the ball forward from that?
That's the problem.
And that's the problem, because it just slows it down too much. Wrexham are set, that's it, done.
Yeah, you know, you've got to pay respect to the opposition if you're the away team. That's certainly true, but not, you know, to the point where you're nullifying any attacking threat of your own.
No,
you've got to be able to strike a balance. And for me, for us to have any chance, I think Stano's got to be in the middle. You know, whether it's the 9 or the 10, either way, he's got to be there.
I think you put Dimmy out on the left then.
Well, either Dimmy or, you know, Lund would be my pick, because he's got a defensive mindset and he's got pace. I don't think he'll do it. I think Lund will actually play tomorrow, which is Tuesday, against Brentford. I think he will as well. An opportunity there. But I agree with you, ultimately, that I don't think the lineup's going to change from the Sheffield United setup. I think he's going to try and go through the same thing. It might be another nail in the coffin for him, though, because
I think it might.
You know, they get a goal. Can you see Blues with that setup being able to respond? You know, in that kind of environment down there, I'm not sure I can.
No, I don't think I can either.
And on that basis, given what I think that Davis will do, I think we're going to lose 1-0 there.
I'd agree with you, but I'm going to go slightly worse. I think we're going to be 2-0.
Okay.
I think they'll nick a goal within the first 20 minutes, something what characteristic of how we were away from home last season. And I just don't think we'll respond. And I think eventually we'll just have another nail in the coffin and that'll be it. I just don't think the setup, the system we're playing with the players been played out of position. One of them is a key player for us, one we spent a lot of money on in Joe Stansfield. And I just don't think we'll have it in us to respond. And I think, again, that's going to be another nail in the coffin. It's just going to be another disappointing performance. And it's frustrating when you listen to Chris Davis in his post-match following the Bristol City game saying he just didn't come for us today. It was disappointing we were below par. Well, that's great, Chris, but why do you think that is?
Yeah.
Are you seeing what we're seeing? Are you looking at it going, well, the system's right, we're just not applying it right? No, the system is wrong. It's been wrong for a very long time. You're playing 2 players out of position and you're expecting them to play like they do when they're in position. And did you not notice the change in 60 minutes as well? Did you not hear the crowd change as well?
That's the problem.
That's the problem now.
The issue is the stubbornness and the refusal to see things from a different perspective. And it annoys me that he uses words that suggest variability and adjustability and being able to kind of embrace that and then not doing it. That's somebody just talking the talk but not walking the walk, to use a phrase. He's not doing it, and this is a repeat pattern. It's happened a lot in the last 2 or 3 years, and now it's not just getting boring and a point for slight discussion. This is getting critical. It's getting critical now.
It is.
So I'll keep my fingers crossed for better on Friday, but given what I think at the moment in terms of setup, I'm not expecting it.
No, absolutely the same for me. I always hope for Blues to do well. I always want Blues to win, as any of us do, any of our viewers and listeners do. But the realistic side of me and the pragmatic side of me says he's not going to change and it's going to hurt us.
No.
And we're just going to see more of the same, unfortunately. But obviously, we've gotten to Brentford in the Carabao Cup second round to negotiate at St Andrews Night Bark tomorrow evening, as of recording this on the Monday. So it'll, as you say, it'll look a bit weird because you won't see Joe, and then you'll see Joe, and then you won't see Joe again. So that'll look a bit strange. But as I say to our viewers and listeners, as you've aforementioned there, Dad, it's just the way the schedule is. I think it's going to be a difficult game against Brentford, or what would have been a difficult game. But
we'll see how it pans out.
We'll see how it pans out. But of course, when this comes out, we already would have played it. So
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But Dad, as always, thank you for your contribution
and
in Joe's absence. Enjoyable as always.
Indeed.
And to our viewers and listeners, let us know in the comments section below how you think Davis is going to set up against Wrexham this coming Friday. Do you think he's going to change anything? as much as we think he needs to, and I'm sure you guys do as well. And let us know your score predictions. And if you think the Blues will score any goals, let us know your goal scorers in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already. It is free to do so. And hit the bell notification button so you never miss any upload from the Free Blue Boys podcast. And while you're at it, why not drop us a follow on any one of our social media platforms? Links to which on the screen for now and down in the description below. And make sure you join us following this Friday's fixture away to Wrexham for our post-match reaction upload as well. But the next time, fellow Blue Noses, stay true to the Royal Blue and keep right on.
Keep right on.